episode 3 of The Passion of Destiny featuring Mr. Datto. And we're just going to be going through the Vanguard 1300 Nightfall and, seeing what palindromes we get. We're going to talk about Destiny. All right. We can talk about regular stuff too. So if I don't read chat, I'm sorry. If there's a question or something like that you ask, I like to apologize. But when you're having a conversation with someone and someone else is like standing behind you trying to get in, it's just weird. So if I ignore you, I'm sorry, but it happens. All right. Also,
I say that and then secretly I'm like,
oh man. But yeah, if you're not sub to him on YouTube yet, please make sure you do. If you're not sub to him on Twitch, please make sure you do. Make sure you follow him on Twitter and all social platforms. I'm going to be dropping all the links here. All right. I'm sure you guys already know who he is. Still do it. It's not about, you don't know, is show some support. But if you do follow him on Twitch already, if you got a Prime Gaming, we'll drop it there. It's nice of him to take time out of his busy schedule to join in for a cool chat. All right.
Nah, it's all good.
All right. First topic, I feel like, for me, at least this season,
yeah,
I feel like it's been worth $10 already because of that mission, the Presage.
Oh yeah, I would say this season has been off to a very, very, very good start. A lot of good guns in the set. A lot of good guns. Was pretty impressed by that. I think battlegrounds are really fun. Actually, I really like just that there's a lot of stuff to actually go kill as opposed to just constantly fighting to, try to have fun in this game. The secret mission has been a blast. It was awesome. Great first time experience. Good replayability. So yeah, I would totally agree.
Yeah, because I've seen a lot of people going crazy, and I was like, first 2 weeks, even though Trials has cheaters and stuff, yes, we know. Before anyone
Trials
leaves the comments, yes.
Whole
but
thing.
The loot has been exceptional too. The pulse rifle came last week with Desperado, and people were going wild for it. And then this week, the hand cannon. The hand cannon looks really cool. So far, I feel like they put in so much already. And I remember seeing Mr. Joe Blackburn's tweet about like, there's more to come. And I'm like, all right, cool, man.
Yeah, we still have that, was it that state of the game kind of deal as well?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That hasn't shown its face yet. So pretty promising. But I mean, like compared to last season, I think there was a lot of potential just because last season was, it's combined with the expansion, and I feel like they prioritized the expansion a whole lot more. So, but yeah, this season they've so far knocked it out of the park. Absolutely.
And that, like, one thing too, like whenever someone's like, hey man, I paid this much and I want like all these things, and I'm like, but it's $10. And how much is $10 worth to you? Like if you go to the store and you bought some snacks and a drink, that's almost $10 nowadays.
Yeah.
But
it's tough, man. It's like on the one hand, like I see some arguments like it's $10, this, that. And then on the other hand, I'm like, well, there's like a lot of like, if you were to turn that $10 into like an Eververse equivalent, looking at the season pass, if you complete the season pass, it's way more than $10 worth of Eververse stuff in the season pass alone. So I totally get the back and forth of just like $10 for this, but then it's also like $10 for this and so yeah, it can be a tough call for some people. Oh yeah, we don't need 100,000, do we?
No.
I'm gonna keep going.
Another thing about like people going crazy about reskins. I think every game has reskin. every game has reskins. There's no game out there that's like, hey, this is just, this is brand new all the time. Call of Duty, whatever, all the NBA 2K games, whatever it is, there's always going to be.
Oh, those have the worst, yeah.
Yeah, there's always going to be reskins. So it's just weird that, like, our whole, a lot of people get mad every season. Oh, they brought this back. I'm more into, like, the perks, right? Like, this season we have Lasting Impression, Frenzy. Like, a lot of these things are just, like, they blow my mind because I'm like, man, they can't make more perks, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden,
somehow they do.
Somehow they do. So it's just like, I don't know. I look back at them like, man, what else can they do besides a la Rampage? And then they came out with Whirlpool. What else can they do? And even with the Warmind mods, everyone's going insane right now. Warmind mods are going to get sunset. What do we get to use? Or if the weapons are gone? But there's so many ways to kind of play this game. And everyone just sticks to one. I do honestly think
they do something about Warmind cell mods. I think it would be a shame to have them kind of rotate out, but at the same time, well, yeah, but just like, I don't know, they add so much value to the game, even if they are just ridiculously strong. And so I do really wonder if they are just like, yep, they're going away. We're gonna go with this elemental well stuff instead, which I do think needs a bit of work. I was doing some research on those last night, and I was like, oh, these are not very good.
I was basically waiting for the rest of them to come out to like go through all of them. Yeah, some of them aren't like anything too crazy. But I feel like Rage of the Warmind also makes Warmind cells viable for a long time, even if you don't have the weapons, because everyone's been going wild about that. Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. I think it'd be a shame to let them go, but if they did want to, have them just be like, they were around for a year and now they're gone.
Yeah.
I would understand.
I just feel like if they were that good enough to create Warmind cells and have us like love Warmind cells, they have plenty of like, ideas that they can probably implement in the future.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, for sure. I have faith that they can make some interesting stuff. I think elemental wells is somewhat of an interesting concept. It's just a little weak out of the gate.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they can totally come up with more stuff. I have no reservations about that whatsoever.
I feel like it also takes the community a while to like latch on to new things because everyone's so like stuck to their old stuff. Like,
oh, definitely, yeah.
It's just been like that for a long time. Whether it was like Midnight Cube or Recluse, once that's gone, that's when people start looking for the next thing. When that next thing has been in your face the whole time. And I wanted to talk about that too. Like, what do you think about like an Arsenal mindset? Like always having your vault full of things that could possibly be good in the next seasons. I feel like a lot of people just like farm for that one season and forget about the future.
Yeah. It's it's a give and take. It can be a little stressful having like that many things in your vault and constantly having to keep track of what you have and what you don't have. So like I'm someone like that who just like, if I get a god roll or something, I'll just throw it in the vault and hope for a day that it actually becomes good to use.
Yeah.
I don't think that's like the worst mindset or anything like that. I think it's good to have options, especially in a game that I feel like is designed to have you explore your options quite regularly when it comes to your loadouts and all that kind of stuff. I've never really got the whole like wanting to use the same gun for literally 5 years straight kind of deal. That like I would be bored to tears with that. I respect that other people wouldn't, but
especially when a lot of people are like, how come you're not running Zanagi Divinity? I was like, dude, that thing has been around for so long.
How many times do I need to run that loadout? And I feel like anytime I use something that's not like Omega super meta, people are like, wait, why are you using that? What's going on? Is this some new secret meta that I don't know about? What's happening? And I'm just like, nope, I'm just can I just use this gun just because I feel like it?
I just want to enjoy the game for what it is and use different things, man.
Yeah.
I feel like it happens like that all the time. I'll just, I'll like my demo act up or something like that. I don't want to move something over, and I'll use something. Why are you using that?
Yeah. Or even just like I'm running like strikes and I accidentally, left on an exotic that doesn't match with my
subclass,
with my subclass or something like that. And like, wait, why are you doing that? What happened? Like, why are you not running this? I'm just like, dude, does it matter? Does it really matter? No, I'm in the strike playlist, my guy. Just let's tone down that energy.
Yep. There's something about people just like always wanted to know or always wanted to be in the know. So like if they see something different, oh no.
Yeah.
There must be something happening.
And there's just like such a few amount of things that you actually need to be super optimized for in the game.
Yeah.
There's so few things that you absolutely have to have the best stuff. And even then, you don't really need to have the best stuff.
Yeah.
I know people are going to hit me with oh, it's not optimal, whatever. Sometimes being optimal is about doing what you want to do and not what you,
what you should do.
Not what you should do with regards to this experience, like you don't need to have the crazy modded loadouts with this masterwork and this gun and blah blah blah. Sometimes if you just want to chill and just like use some random gun just because you think it's neat, go do it. Who cares? Just do it.
Sometimes you end up finding a really good loadout, like you're like, wait a minute, this actually fits really well for this situation. I would have never used it before, and a lot of people don't even see that either.
Yeah. It's like you're in the strike playlist, my guy. It's not that, like, there's no stakes. Use whatever you want. Who cares?
One cool thing, too, is, like, you'll have people, like, using different weapons all the time. Then all of a sudden, a TWAB comes out, and it's like, oh, my God, my favorite weapon just got a buff. I can't wait to, like, use this more. And it's almost it's cool, too, because it's like, you know what? That person, like, latched onto this weapon, and now it's, like, meta. And it was never meta before, and I felt that for Cammy when 110s became like the meta because he used it for so long. So there's just like, I don't know. It's always weird when I see stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean it's nice when things get shifted up a bit. Eventually people get sick of it. I understand that,
Man.
But whenever we can have a little bit of a jostling in the meta, it's nice. Like. I'm not that this scout rifle was a result of the meta shifting, but like I'm really enjoying using this scout rifle right now.
Man, the animation on that gun is
and it's just really strong. It's kind of boring, don't get me wrong, but it's also really strong. Yeah. So it's been nice to be able to use something different for a little bit, even if this is not the best choice for
even if it's not meta. It's still something to use. I don't think people see it that way sometimes. Like, hey, man, I'm tired of using this loadout. Can I just use this for now?
Yeah. I mean, again, Destiny has never been a game where you needed to go crazy optimized in every activity. Like, there's such a few amount where you even need that. And even if you're not, you can get away with not. Like, it's okay.
Yeah, endgame is, I don't know, there's not that many things that are like really, really hard anymore. Like most things you can get into and your chances of failing are really low. There's a lot of forgiveness.
Yeah, I'd say like GM Nightfall is basically one of the few that has very little forgiveness, but even then, like you can get 1 million reses through just killing champions anyway.
Yep.
So yeah, there's not many things in the game with the stakes that require a crazy build, which is both good and bad. Like it's good because you can use whatever you want, but it's bad because it never really feels like it pushes you to your limits.
I like to see multiple things, not just GMs, like multiple different playlists having like a master or like hard mode, and just this is not meant for everyone, but if you want to jump in here and try it out for yourself, Boom.
Yep.
Be nice to see.
Yeah, I'd be super into that. Super into that. I'm
'Cause
always a fan of more difficulty options, you know, to kind of test myself or allow people to test themselves if they want to be tested.
Yeah, because I have a bunch of friends that are like speedrunners and stuff like that, or like, you know, low man challenges. There's not that many things in the game anymore that they even want to do, whether it's a low man challenge or anything like that, because there isn't. There's nothing that's going to be like giving you the same feeling that you had before. And then that goes back to people saying, oh, there's not enough content. And I'm like, if you can't find anything to enjoy in the game, don't force yourself to play it.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I get that every so often. Just like, hey, I stopped playing because I didn't enjoy this. Should I come back? And it's like, well, you didn't enjoy that, and that's one of the core components of the game.
Damn,
so
yeah.
no.
Oh, that's one of the
like,
questions all the time. Someone's like, I stopped playing during this time. Is it a good time to come back? It's like, I don't know the reason why you play Destiny. Everyone plays Destiny for a different reason.
Or the best is like when people leave like, hey, I left like 3 weeks ago. Should I come back? It's like, not much has really changed. Like, what were you hoping for in the next 3 weeks that would change your mind? Because no, it's still the same season.
Yep.
It's still this. We're still in 13. Yeah, I don't know, man.
Like, I know Life Hades for like, I think 2 weeks. And all of a sudden I was like, wait, you're not playing Destiny anymore? What happened? Did you quit? I'm like, what do you mean did I quit?
God.
I just can't
Don't
like
even get
play.
me started.
I can't play another game, bro. Nah,
Yeah.
you play Destiny all the time. No, bro, come on, man.
Yeah, you played 12 hours a day for the past 2 weeks. You quitting? No, man. I just want to do something else for a sec. Please.
Another game gets an upload. Hey, man, let me jump into Gunfire. There's a new character. Wait,
Yeah.
you quit Destiny, bro? Like who told you I quit? I just, I would never understand that.
Yeah, it's just like, I think it's just the mentality of a lot of people who watch YouTube content and a lot of Destiny creators themselves. Is like, we're so heavily into Destiny that even the smallest sign that we're gonna do something else is like, wait, what's happening?
It's almost like people are getting ready to panic because they don't see like the normal people playing the game.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of take that as like is the game healthy? Is like the people who are usually playing this game are not currently playing this game, even if it is something ridiculous like one day.
Yeah.
You know, it could be someone who hasn't visited the stream in over a year, and they're like, wait, you normally play Destiny. What's going on? What happened to the game? All that kind of stuff. So, you know, I can understand those people who maybe haven't been around. You know, they came back after an extended break and they see you on something else. They're like, hey, what's going on? So in that regard, I can respect it. But otherwise, yeah, it's like people are allowed to play other games. Like it's okay.
It's weird.
In fact,
too.
I would argue it's healthy.
Yeah. It's always weird when someone's like, oh, this game is terrible now. I'm not going to play this game. Sure. But like, if the game is terrible, why not go find another game to enjoy? Why do you need to jump in the chat and be like, hey, man, this game sucks? I understand the passion for a game, but there's more than one game for people to play out there. If you stick to one, it's cool. That means you enjoyed enough. But if like you're not enjoying it, don't try to get others to be in the same boat as you. It's just weird.
Yeah, I just get rid of those people now, honestly. Like it's not worth the time. It's not worth the time to argue. I've been doing this for I'm pushing my 8th year.
Yeah.
And I'm just like I'm done having these arguments. Like if you're not having a good time, great, go have a good time somewhere else.
Yeah, like where you enjoy yourself.
I am. Especially this season. Like I'm having a good time. So
man, this season has been wild. You know what's funny? Everyone was like time gated this, time gated that. Everyone was like, when we're gonna get like this exotic? It's crazy that it just dropped like boom right there. Go get it.
Yeah.
You know, like that blew my mind.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting them to do this much this early in the season.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm like a little hesitant now of like, all right, well, what's the second half of this season gonna look like?
Yeah.
From a content perspective, because this feels like one of the first like very front-loaded seasons that we've had in a little while, which is why I bring that up. You know, I don't think we have that much experience with seasons that are front-loaded. I have not gotten a single Nightfall weapon from any run that I've ever done.
Man, did you? I don't know. I still believe in this prosperity thing on the Ghost.
I think I have Prosperity Vanguard on.
Oh snap! I got one on the first run, but I was like, eh. I feel like once you have something in this game, the game just knows, so it drops more in your lap. Oh, you already have it. I know you spent like hours trying to get it, but now that you have it, you just have more. Yeah. It always happens. And that's another thing too. A lot of people have been talking about the bottom dollar, the hand cannon from Gambit. Everyone's like, man, it should drop already. Like, what the hell? I want to get this gun. And I'm like, it's 2 weeks, right? The season's supposed to last a long time. So if you get it within the first day or two, are you going to go back and play? You're probably not, right? So it sucks because it is replayability, but I think it's neat that they put 2 weapons in each game mode, and they're all cool. Like, I like the weapon rolls and things that they put in there. So now it allows people to just go in the game and play and like get loot. You know, like I feel like the weapons are supposed to be like the side thing, like the extra reward that you get. You're not supposed to like go in there and be like, oh, I want to get this. You're supposed to go in there, enjoy the game mode for what it is, and then possibly get that.
I got 2 counterpoints. Number 1, Gambit.
Yeah.
Number 2, I would say that because these weapons have such a wide range of perk rolls, getting what you actually want is substantially
very
more difficult
than
some of these other guns with a much more limited perk range. So you need to have activities like this continue to drop loot somewhat actively. Number 1, to keep people's hopes up, to, you know, make sure like, well, not this one, but maybe on the next one.
I would say one out of every 7 match would be a nice number, because right now bottom dollar is maybe like 1 out of like 50 matches, which is crazy.
I would argue almost every other match.
Every other match? Yeah. There is 16 options in both perk pools.
It's so many perks. Not to mention, what's an average length of a Gambit match? You know, it's 7 minutes, something like that. Maybe less than that, because it's only 1 round now. But either way, people want to have their time valued, and I think going something like 7 games with only 1 gun that you'll probably inevitably get a garbage roll on would not be enough. I am okay with them dumping, you know, Gambit hand cannons on people, because it'll incentivize them to actually continue to play instead of just being like, well, no, it's been 10 games in a row, F this, I'm out.
What do you think about this idea? Because remember, each week they like boost something, right? When they boosted Infamy, I was hoping that maybe they should have had something that was like boosting drop rate of, you know, the weapons that come from there. So whether it be the fusion or the hand cannon, it would have had a higher drop rate, because boosting Infamy is cool, but there's no point in, you know, me playing if I'm not going to be getting the drops out of, you know, like unlocks, right? If I reach a certain thing, the drifter should have that in his, you know, his pool as well. Yeah, I think the vendor should have that, so whenever you level up, you have a chance to get something.
Absolutely. But it seems like people keep asking me, like, have you've been farming for bottom dollar, you've been farming for this, farming for that? Meanwhile, all I've been hearing is just like, the drop rates are terrible. I'm not even getting a single gun. So I'm like, I'll wait. I got other things that I need to do right now than try to farm Gambit for a hand cannon that is probably not going to roll the way that I want, and will only drop once every 20 matches if I'm lucky, you know?
Yeah, I was gonna say once every 20 is a lucky number.
I'll wait, because that's something that will be fixed. Like, bet money that the drop rate will increase.
Yeah, when everyone was talking about like drop rates, I was like, the Crucible Sniper, the Nightfall stuff is probably not going to change. but for sure, bottom dollar's drop rate is going to go up.
Yeah, definitely. I don't foresee Bungie being okay with it having the drop rate that it currently does. Now, if it was like a more specialized weapon that was supposed to be this super rare drop because it's so powerful or this or that, or like whatever the reason, sure, keep the drop rate really, really low, you know, give people that lottery drop. But because there's such a wide range, I'll reference Diablo 3. It's a decade-old game, but when they first launched, the problem is that they were not dropping enough loot. And because there were so many options for stat rolls, when you did actually get a piece of loot and it wasn't something that was good for you or good for your class or whatever, it made you sad because like it took you so long to get it. So you either need infrequent drops of a very high quality or frequent drops of a below average quality, so that way people can feel like they're still, you know, progressing towards the thing that they want.
Another thing about Destiny 2 is a lot of people compare it to other games. I feel like it has its own thing. Like, I don't even feel like it's an MMO RPG or what they're trying to turn it into, because there's so much that goes on in this game. A lot of people love the gunplay. I love the gunplay in this game. Like, everything just feels very fluid.
Absolutely.
Someone like tried comparing it to Warframe the other day. I was like, dude, they're not the same game.
Completely different play style of game.
Different, yeah.
It's not even close. It is not even remotely close. The style of gameplay, what their goals are for the gameplay, for the grind, for their content, but just because they both have shooting aspects and there's gun looting, it's like, oh well, they're the same game.
They're
like,
the same game.
They could not be farther away besides that point.
Oh man. Nah, like every time I get in, here's another cool thing. If I go play another game and I come back, I start like noticing all these details in this game that I'm like, man, this game is really detailed and it's very pretty. Like, I know we complain about bugs and all this other stuff, but this is a very pretty game.
The majority of things about this game are very good, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that go unnoticed just because, you know, it like the core component of the game is troubled at times, to put it nicely. But there are so many other things about the game that I just go completely unnoticed. That are spectacular. Music is probably one of the few things that does go very noticed. Like UI and certain weapon designs, and just there's like almost every department is an A+ in what they do. In the grand scheme. And I just wish I was more knowledgeable about game design to contribute more to that conversation. But yeah, there's so many things that are done well. But because the core of the game is troubled, they go unnoticed.
Yeah, because I know nothing about game design. But, you know, you always have these people like, they can fix it. They just do this. How do you know? You know, like, you're not there. No, you don't know how that goes.
The truth of it is that they don't.
Yeah.
If there's one thing that I have learned through my experience of like getting to talk with devs and visit the studio, is that things are so much more expensive than you actually think that they are.
Yeah.
And it's insane. I'm obviously not going to go into details or anything like that. But anything that you think is potentially an easy fix is far from it.
Yep.
And things are much more expensive to build than you actually think that they are.
Especially when everyone's like, we need servers. And I remember asking about that and just hearing the numbers. And everyone's like, well, if everyone paid $5 a month or $10 a subscription thing, we can get it done. I was like, dude, it's not that simple. Like, the money amount is just ridiculous.
It's not even the money, too. It's just how the game is physically built and engineered. You know, most games are not like these things where you can just kind of swap out components here and there and like it's all good. a lot of these games are built in a way where like some stuff is just fully ingrained into the like concrete of the game, and you just can't change those things without doing massive overhauls. Like, you know, if Bungie came out and said like, yeah, we could do private servers, but we would have to literally completely restructure everything about the game's code and the networking and the engineering, and it would take 3 years to do, and we also couldn't do a bunch of other things that we wanted to do as a result, people might be a little more apprehensive to you know, requesting certain features. You know, they're not these puzzle pieces that you can just swap in and out. Some things are, I'm sure, but definitely not everything, especially something like moving to completely dedicated servers.
I also feel like people forget that there's a corporate side of things as well. So like a decision, because a lot of devs are very passionate about this game and they want to see the game excel and do things that like we ask for, but there's also a corporate side of things, and that's where funding comes from. And a lot of decisions still have to go through that. So people just think, oh, I think this idea is great, let me add them, and all of a sudden it's gonna get fixed. No, that thing goes through like levels of like you know, meetings and people sitting down and
there's
saying
a lot of red
yes.
tape.
Yeah, there's a lot of red tape.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate side of things, the business side, you know. Even with streaming and YouTube, like no one ever really wants to hear about the business side of YouTube, because everyone thinks, you know, oh, you're a YouTuber, therefore your life's great, you know, there's no problems whatsoever, or it's just like all you do is make videos and that's it. Don't get me wrong, there's probably some people who literally all they do is make videos and that's it, but not everyone is like that. You know, a lot of my time recently has gone to just, you know, different projects, or having to worry about the business side of things where it's not content creation, it's just stuff on the back end that I need to do, that no one really knows about or cares about. Let's be real. No one really knows how the sausage is made, but nobody really cares either.
The funny thing is, I remember before like I really started diving into YouTube, like just sitting down with you talking about it, you were like, man, your mic just, you know, you sound like you don't even want to do it. Like your mic sounds low. And I went back and watched the video and I was like, wait a minute, I have a crappy ass mic. Like,
yeah,
and you know, like that's just like a small thing that I never paid attention to. I'm just like, man, how come people say they can't hear me when I record? Because when I record it and I listen to it, it sounds normal. And then when I went back and watched on YouTube, which is still cringe because I don't like hear myself a lot, I was like, oh, this is terrible. You know, like, and there's a lot to YouTube for sure. Like you just said, there's a lot. And I feel like I'm not even scratching the surface. You have like kind of hit all those points already. So it seems like there's a lot more to this journey than most people think it is. Even with streaming, people just think you get up and you stream and then like that's it. Like you don't talk to your sponsors, you don't like plan things out. You're just like a guy that just gets to play video games all the time. I was like, yeah, we start out as like that, and then after a while it's not. Now you have to. And again,
I'm sure there are some people who literally just, they wake up, they turn on the stream, they turn off the stream, and they're done. You know, they don't worry about sponsors, they don't worry about planning. They pop on and that's it. But for a lot of other people and people at, you know, the higher end, it's a lot more than just turn it on, turn it off. Sorry, I kind of derailed from the dev conversation, but
you're good.
It's along the same lines of just like not really knowing what's going on in the background, and you know, people love to say, "Oh, this is an easy fix, this is easy this, easy that," and it's unless you work in the industry and can confirm that it is indeed easy, it's never as easy as you think. And when it comes to actual development time, not necessarily design, but development time, I always will give benefit of the doubt, because it just takes longer than you think to do a lot of things. And okay. And you know, until you're really in that industry, you just have no idea what it really takes. You know, I'm sure if you are in like IT or you do coding or stuff like that, you might have some sense of an idea of how long it takes. But if you're not in that industry, if you're a chef with no coding history or design history, you probably don't know how long it takes. And then even then, you could probably say as a chef, like, oh, it's so easy. You just go in and cook something.
But you don't even know what's in the kitchen, right? You don't know what ingredients are in the kitchen. You don't know, what like machines are being used to make food, like what people have access to, right? So you're right.
The recipe testing that you need to do, like even just slightly tweaking something could alter the entire experience.
Which is why Telesso has always been beastly, of course.
Yeah.
There's always something.
The chefs are still tinkering.
Oh man, every season Telesso just like comes through. It's been a while since Telesso has like striked, but it's always been a crazy thing whenever Telesso does. I'm like, man, how is it that every time Telesso like gets through? Every time.
Yeah, it's a combination of factors that I'm sure we would never think about, just because the way certain things are identified or marked or labeled on certain systems, gets messed up for whatever reason. They rewrite this, they rewrite that, and it's just reasons that you couldn't even imagine. I love using the Crota heavy weapon example. Where like you used to lose heavy ammo whenever you were playing against Crota, and you would wipe, you'd reset, you'd lose some ammo. And they went onto this whole thing about like they had to go into the core of like how the game even handles ammo in the first place in order to fix it. And it's like, so it's not just like remove the -1 on respawn like so many people thought. And I wish Bungie would give more insights into how they fix certain bugs or stuff like that, because it's super fascinating, number one, and number two, it educates people who might not have been educated in that department, so that they can understand kind of what Bungie and what other developers go through when they're fixing stuff like this, instead of just being an armchair dev and having no idea what you're talking about.
I don't know. Another thing too, everyone's always like, cheater problem this, cheater problem that. There's cheaters in every game, and whether we talk about inside cheat and all this other stuff, I'm sure they know the house is on fire. All right, they know the whole bridge and everything is burning, and they're trying to find ways to put it out.
I don't want to I definitely don't want to discredit that issue. Like, it is a big issue.
It is a big issue. Yeah.
And I think I wouldn't want to discredit by saying like, well, every other game has cheaters, and it's like, yeah, well, that doesn't make it right. But yeah, I'm sure that Bungie knows that it's a big problem, and they're doing everything that they can to try to fix that problem. It's not something they're just like, oh wait, what? There's cheat. Wait, what?
Nah, no one's cheating. What? No way.
Like, I'm sure they know, and it's just a much tougher fix than we anticipate. But at the same time, it is a pretty substantial problem. And I think doing a lot in the short term, or as much as they can in the short term, would look at that Nova Bomb go. Would really help, ease some tensions.
Yeah.
There we go. There's one finally.
Boom.
Quick draw rampage. Close.
Wait, what did you get on that?
Quick draw rampage.
Oh, nice.
with high cal. Yeah, it's not bad.
Not bad. I seen a lot of
And
like
perks.
the new perks, and they're fun, man. Killing Wind, One for All, Frenzy. Still blows my mind, like whenever they come out with perk, and it just works really well. You first look at it, you read it, like, this might not be it. Then all of a sudden, it just takes over.
Yeah, I mean, Frenzy. Frenzy wasn't really a perk that was like, I think a perk that kind of had that like, I'm not so sure, to now has kind of blown up was Disruption Break.
Yeah.
Just because it wasn't some crazy damage perk right off the rip or some reload speed perk. And it took a little getting used to before people could appreciate its power. And now it's like, you know, it's a pretty good perk for higher end content. I wouldn't use it in lower end content. It's definitely much more of a niche perk. But for that niche, you know, it is really, really good.
A lot of situational perks in the game. Like I wouldn't just like take you know, a bunch of like swords and be like, all right, cool, I am going to go through a bunch of GMs with, unless passive guard is there, and it came back this season. So that kind of brings me back to the artifact. I think that's a really neat thing, right? Every season artifacts changing, meaning it changes your style of play. But hear me out here. What if instead of us just going again light every season, especially if there's no new raid or anything to tackle, maybe just do the pinnacle 10 points thing or whatever and change up the artifact? I feel like that would be cool, instead of like this whole tedious of getting another 50 bump. It's just weird to do that every season, especially when there's nothing to chase after. Because I feel like the artifact matters more.
I think I'd be down for now for just like increasing the pinnacle cap 10 levels, just that way, like, so people don't feel pressured. What can you elaborate more on like changing the artifact? Like,
okay, so perfect example, right? End game. Like last season for barrier was like pulse rifles. This season has changed to scout rifles, or like overload or unstoppable. That changes, right? So each season you need a different thing. But hear me out here. A lot of people get to the same light to do the same things. You get to the same light to do GMs. You get the same light to play trials, or you get the same light to do some of the activities that might be a little, you know, light level higher. If there's a seasonal activity that comes out, maybe put that seasonal activity to maybe the pinnacle power, because people are going to reach there at some point. I feel like everyone always wants to like go in right away and get a pinnacle activity done, because look at how 4 just came out. You know, like people complain they didn't get it done the first day, but I feel like that's the whole point. You're supposed to build up so you can be able to do a seasonal activity, and it also rewards the player that was around for a bit the ability to just dive in there, because they're only 10 levels under. You know, I feel like the whole 50 grind over and over each season is weird. Like having to go do Gambit or Comp just to, you know, get to the powerful cap every time is just weird.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of potential like intricacies in there that we're not really seeing. Like I'm with you on like the whole 50 levels. Like at this point, we don't need 50 levels. I'm grinding 50 levels to go participate in GM Nightfalls so that I can go get a title that I already have. Right? That's really the only reason you need to grind that high. So I would be very interested in seeing, and I am interested in seeing, if they end up doing anything with leveling. Not that I think it's the most urgent issue, like strangely enough, like even though it's one of the biggest problems, it's probably not one of the most urgent. Just because like there's other things that are a little bit more on fire than leveling actually is. It's just kind of like tedious, but it's not, I would argue that it's not the most problematic. But with regards to seasonal activities, I guess if you're combining, because originally I was going to say like, well, Forges had that problem early on where on the very first day of new content day, if you like, you couldn't participate in new content day, and that is not good. That is not good to have for an audience as wide as this.
But the thing
definitely
is,
want to have people able to participate on new content day, no matter what their level is.
Yeah, participation is cool, but I would say completion, maybe like you go in, you're like, man, this is rough, but now I can go and level up and come back in. And that's the whole buildup about light level, right? Actually having it matter. So like instead it was like change where like the light level and everything went down, so it was easy for people to do. But then over time, a week or two later, you're like, wait, this is too easy now. So I felt like not everything should be in a way where you can just beat it on the first day, because now like what do you have to work with? There's nothing else to work with. And I understand making everyone happy and satisfied, but there's also like a reward in being defeated and going back and winning. Like it's hard to explain that to people, but the first time you do something with your friends, you may not be the best players, you get your butt kicked, and then you guys go back in there, you beat it as a group, you're gonna remember that. You're probably gonna talk about it over beers or something. Yeah.
I used to think like that, like all the time. But I'd say at least all of Destiny 1. It's just like, don't you want to like improve and like get better at the game and all that kind of stuff? And over time, I've learned the answer to that is no. Some people don't want to, work at this and try to improve their gun skill or this skill, that skill. Some people just want to log on and they just want to shoot some dudes in the head and then turn off the game. And as I've gotten older and my life position has changed, I totally respect that. Now, I do think there should be the option to have the ability to challenge yourself. That should absolutely always be an option. But making it so that an activity is high level to try to encourage people to improve and this and that, I have learned is not always the way to go. And, some people just want to shoot some aliens in the head for 30 minutes and then call it a day. And they don't want to have to stress or worry. They just want to log on, play, and get out.
Okay. So then that brings me to this point too. We were talking about this last week. There's a lot of people that feel like they should have everything, even though they don't need it, right? Here's my thing. Everyone's always saying casual gamers are complaining. It's not a casual gamer. That person's probably an average to medium gamer that plays the game enough to know things. They look up stuff on YouTube, and now they're like, wait, I can't get this gun because it's tied to a highly skilled thing. And I'm like, not everyone should have everything, because if something is time invested, once you put your time in, you're going to get that thing. Why should someone else just be given it? And like you said, a person that like plays the game just to have fun and like get in these activities and enjoy it doesn't care, right? But then there's also like a master version or a grandmaster version. That person's not going to go in there. They'll probably go in a normal strike playlist. Actually, I could use the strike playlist as an example. All right. Person goes in normal daily strike playlist, uses whatever guns they want. No worries. Now, let's say this person wants to then tackle Legend or Master Nightfall. Now their arsenal has to change up a bit, has to beef up a bit. Now, don't you think this person maybe needs to put in a little bit of time and effort to get these things in order to do that activity?
Absolutely.
Because a lot of people complain about the Ray Rocket. Oh, I haven't gotten it yet. But there's nothing in this game that requires you to have that. You don't really need it.
That was something that kind of annoyed me. I remember very early on in Destiny's life where people were complaining that like they couldn't get to the highest level, even though the content that they were doing didn't require the highest level. I always found that like very fascinating, the complaints of wanting to get everything or wanting to get the highest tier loot, even though you don't participate in the activities that require that loot, or participate in the activities that give that loot in the first place. I've always found that fascinating, even though I probably shouldn't. Like, let's be real. People want to be able to have the best stuff whenever they're playing a video game, and they maybe necessarily don't want to have to put in the maximum effort required because they own the game. And I've never been on board with the whole just because you own the game means like you're entitled to all of the loot that it has. I think you should absolutely need to go work for that loot if you want that highest tier stuff. So as long as people are like reasonable about like what kind of loot they are and aren't getting, you know, there's definitely a conversation there. But yeah, I've never been on board with the whole like I'm a solo gamer, but I deserve all the best items because I bought the game. Like, miss me with that. I'm done with that conversation. I'm done. You know, I don't log into World of Warcraft wanting mythic raid loot, but all I do is play dungeons all day. Like, sure, I want it, but am I entitled to it? No, because I don't play mythic raids, and that's where it comes from. And I think a lot of that disconnect just kind of comes from FPS players diving into an investment game for what feels like the first time and not really realizing like how it kind of works, you know?
My thing is like, imagine trying to get a Gallahorn so you go kill a Thrall or a Dreg.
Yeah,
yeah, you know, like, it's just weird.
Yeah. It's like, man. Sure, you could, but does it really make that much sense?
Yeah. There's not that many high tier level things that you need anything too crazy powerful for. Now, don't get me wrong. If you go on Crucible, you die to stasis, buy the DLC, okay? It's no one's fault. It's your fault, all right? Buy the DLC so you can have stasis too. But it's just like weapon-wise, if you die to a weapon a few times and you're like, man, what is this weapon? And you want to get it, sure. But guess what? That weapon that's killing you, you're gonna have to invest some time into it. It's not just gonna be handed to you. And I always go back to this because a lot of people talk about, but why not? I was like, do you remember Destiny 2 when it first came out? Yes, you would do the raid, and then your clanmate would go to Hawthorne and get the rocket that you wanted, or the midnight coupe that you wanted, without even doing the raid. I don't want to go back to that. You guys want to go back to that? That was terrible.
I do not want to go back to a D2 kind of system there where it's just like you're just getting it for the cosmetic portion of it. Although Destiny 2 was pretty thin, and it's maybe a little ironic that I nowadays get more excited for the cosmetics that are coming out of the game than I am actual loot. Although this season has definitely changed that a little bit because the loot is pretty good.
There's so much to do, so much to chase. Only the second week, and you know what? I after seeing Joe's tweet and then kind of seeing what the season has, it's pretty insane. Like, it's almost like everything that he's saying is slowly aligning. And if he's working on that Witch Queen raid, oh man, I feel like that's gonna be insane. I feel like it's gonna be
I'm
King's
sure
Fall
he is.
vibes.
I'm sure him and Hops and all those dudes are are doing that. And if they're not, you know, the raids have been so consistently good over the years that that is the one thing I'm always incredibly confident in is Bungie putting together a good raid experience.
I mean, one topic that a lot of people kept going crazy over was like how hard the first day Deepstone Crypt was. And yes, if you're watching this video later, you may get mad, but I felt like when I go in a GM, a Grandmaster, the enemies are way more lethal than they were in that day one raid. All right, I was chilling.
Absolutely agree.
The champion was looking at me, but he wasn't even shooting at me. If I see a champion, overload champion in the GM, I'm dead if I stand there for 2 seconds. So yes, I felt like it was. Do you feel like it was catered for more people to complete it? I feel like it was.
I actually did like a whole. This video took me like a week to 2 weeks to actually completely write. But I did a whole video on like the day one experience. And I think it was a combination of the fact that we had better gear and mod choices, and that things just felt like they were scaled a little differently in that even though we were 20 levels underneath, none of the enemies really felt threatening at all. Like you said, like on GM, 25 levels underneath, and I feel like I'm running for my life a lot of the time, whereas in the day one raid, like, sure, I got myself into like an iffy spot every once in a while, but there was no reason that I couldn't get out of it. And we actually my team never actually wiped due to just like running out of lives because people were dying to ads. Like most of the time we died to a wipe mechanic. We died to we died to just like intentionally wiping to figure out what the next thing we had to do was, or something like that. So yeah, the ads in the Deepstone Crypt day one experience didn't feel that threatening at all. And I know that's still gonna make people mad because people do not like being told that something was easy when they thought it was hard. But it's just, that just comes from my experience. I've done every single raid on day one, every single one. Like, I feel like I'm a pretty reliable source when it comes to determining if something was easy or hard.
Yeah.
Based on that, and this was definitely the easiest one.
Like, even when Prophecy Dungeon was brought back, I went in there and I was like, look at this.
Oh,
these
Prophecy
enemies
felt even more difficult. Yeah, absolutely.
These enemies were like, just hanky, shooting, aggressive knights. I was like, where was this? Like, even the final fight, Tanix, didn't feel like it was much. Like, I thought a brig was going to come out of nowhere. Like, it was just, I don't know.
Yeah, that fight is mainly dregs and a couple of captains that show up every now and then. Yeah, in terms of the combat challenge, there's not a whole lot going on, and I would like to see there be a bit more of a combat challenge. I would love to see them take a page out of WoW's book, where just like every once in a while you have a very, very threatening enemy come in and you need to take care of them, but also you're worrying about multitasking, some other task at the same time. Destiny is very step by step, where it's just like, okay, here's the first thing. All right, you've handled the first thing, here's the second thing. And there's very few amounts of times where you need to be handling multiple jobs at the same time. That's kind of why I appreciated Garden of Salvation final boss. Is like, there were multiple things happening at the same time, and part of that fight was managing all those things happening at the same time.
That and Spire was awesome. Like, there was
Valkor,
yeah, there were so many things building up to the fight, and if you messed up, you had to redo it. And I know a lot of people hated like Curse of Osiris, but I was like, hey man, it brought in movement in raids again. I felt like when we did Leviathan, it was like, stand here, do this, stand here, shoot here, move here, stand here, shoot here. It was more of like, a bunch of standing around. Whereas like with this big Hydra, you had to run around, grab craniums, and break stuff down, and your team had to be on point. You had a DPS, you had things coming at you. And a lot of people were like,
that's a good fight.
Yeah, everyone's like, I didn't like that. I was like, but would you rather just stand the whole time? Because that's
just
not
kind of
fun.
comes down to like what people like in a raid experience. I love stuff like Spire final boss, Valkor, just because there's so many steps that you have to go through, and everyone needs to know what they're doing, and everyone needs to really be on the ball with everything, really. And I really like that. But then I also like a fight where things are a bit more chaotic, and there's that's why I think Golgoroth hard mode I think is still one of the best fights, if not the best fight in the entire franchise, because it feels the most like an MMO type boss.
That and the challenge for Golgoroth was awesome.
Yeah. And like you had like the tanking elements, you had people having to worry about ads, you also had to worry about knocking down the thing to actually DPS, and then the trading back and forth. And when you actually complete that encounter, it feels like an incredibly well-oiled machine, and it is incredibly satisfying, incredibly satisfying to complete that encounter. And that's when I can get that feeling out of an encounter in Destiny. That's when I really feel like it was a success.
I feel like King's Fall vibes, man, with Witch Queen. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's all like related to, all right. It's all related to, you know, that kind of lore and those enemy types and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I would love to see Taken King style vibes with Witch Queen, especially since the names are so close.
Yeah, very close. And then it has to do with even family members.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and anything that can kind of recreate some of those Dreadnought vibes, I think would be very, very welcomed.
A lot of people were
maybe
talking
not
about
necessarily
we might get
going
that.
to the Dreadnought, but
No, people were saying we might even see the Dreadnought. I'm not sure about that.
yeah, I mean, if they wanted to have it kind of like a thing where, like we just did the new mission, we went back to like an old ship that we, you know, kind of destroyed or whatever. Not really destroyed, but you know what I mean. If we wanted to go back to it for like a mission or something like that, you know, they wanted to hit us with some nostalgia, or they have it be a second destination, be absolutely okay with that. But
I would
think
love that. But it can't be the main thing. It cannot be the main thing.
Dreadnought cannot be the main thing.
Just like how
Absolutely.
Europa was the main
cannot.
thing for Beyond Light, and then Cosmodrome came in as like a second thing. Cool. But it cannot be the main thing. There's no way I would just take that.
No, people would not be down for that at all, in my opinion. And so I think Bungie knows that. I'm pretty confident that they know that. So I'm not the most worried. But yeah, I think a little trip back would be welcome.
Would be dope, yeah.
But not the full thing. Get the hell in there.
Like it was a cool you know, it was definitely like a cool social space. Not even social, it was just open world, right? And you had all these hidden things. Court of Oryx. There's something about King's Fall. I just love King's Fall. And I know everyone's like, man, VOG's coming back, and VOG's freaking awesome. But I feel like King's Fall and Last Wish were the most complete raids that we had in this game.
Yeah.
Just going back to King's Fall, you had to go through the Court of Oryx, meaning like you were getting ready to basically descend or go into the Dreadnought. You were trying to invade. You had to break through a portal. Then you went through the portal. Then you had a jumping puzzle to get onto there. Then you had to basically do totems to open up the first door. Then you fought the guy that was like it was just like, I felt like that was a full raid. And I always go back to this. I don't know if you're on the same page with me, but I'd rather see more bosses than just mechanics and raids. You know, like,
yeah, I would love to see more full bosses as opposed to encounters.
Yeah,
you know, there's a big difference between like the security encounter at the start of Deepstone Crypt, even if it does fit thematically, compared to like Atrax. You know, people like, I think it's much more engaging to fight a boss than it is to like knock down some, you know, security nodes or something like that. But I also imagine creating bosses can be a bit tougher to do, as opposed to just like, all right, well, here's the main mechanic and here's how you need to interact with it. Now it's like, okay, well, here's a boss, and then the boss needs to have moves and then also mechanics. So I think they're maybe just also trying to flirt the line a little bit between, you know, having a good amount of encounters versus having a good amount of bosses. But I don't necessarily know what goes into that design process, just because they're the most, like, Bungie is the most secretive about raids. They don't tell anyone I remember at a capture event, I feel like they were like, yeah, don't even hover over this blank node that has the raid icon on it. Like, there was nothing loaded at all. And like, it was just an icon on the map, but they're like, don't even go to that side of the map to hover over the icon that probably just is a bunch of question marks. Don't even do that. Which, you know, I respect it.
Because what was it? Deepstone, I felt like we had, I would say, 2 bosses, basically. And then encounters. I feel like every raid, every raid has become that. Whereas Last Wish had, the first 2 bosses in Last Wish, I feel like were the same boss. But we still had an ogre. And then after the ogre, you had the whole ribbon fight. So damn it. If you had to, there were 4 bosses. But Last Wish literally had the War Priest, then the ogre, then the sisters, then Oryx. Yeah. You know, and then it was also the journey throughout the whole thing. You know, there was a few jumping puzzles, and nothing felt like it was just bland. Lately, I feel like a lot of it has been bland. I just call whatever raid we get normally now like a lair, because I want it to be like Last Wish size. And I'm hoping that Witch Queen is going to be that size. I don't think we're going to get
too many more of those.
Yeah.
Which sucks, but yeah, this is probably the pace at which they are able to create a raid, and like, you know, the scale that they're working with is probably just what they're able to do. You know, maybe with this new announcement that they're doubling the size of the studio, at least the physical size of the studio, you know, they can bring in more people, they can make more stuff happen. But yeah, I think in the short term, next 2-3 years, I think this is probably kind of the pace or the expectation of these raids, is just like 2 encounters, 2 bosses, maybe 3 bosses, you know, for Witch Queen. I think Witch Queen deserves the boss treatment, just based on the concept of Witch Queen and the thematics and all that kind of stuff.
I just feel like with Witch Queen, we're probably gonna get a lot. The reason why I say this is because, what is it, 4 seasons in between. They're also bringing back VOG, which gives them more time to work on this. So I felt like they didn't want to give us, you know, like a big downtime without a raid. So VOG coming back is just something to keep us busy, and that's going to give them more enough time to maybe even make that a bigger raid than what it is. I just feel like it's
they still
giving
have
more
the same
time.
amount of time to make the raid as previous raids, right?
That's true.
It's not like, you know, they were making 2 raids a year and now they're only making the 1. I do think VOG being added back is going to be healthy for the game, and I think slowly re-implementing D1 raids would actually be healthy, just because it can give us that 2 times a year raid experience, even if you have played the old ones. But I think a lot of people hold the old raids in pretty high regard, so they wouldn't mind having them back. But
there's also the whole like thing where like people that play Destiny 1 are kind of mad about like strikes coming back from Destiny 1, but then to a Destiny 2 player, that's a new experience. But I also look at it as, we're not being charged for these things either. These are things that are just being put in for free. And I feel like a lot of people get mad over that. Like, do you think people should be mad that, you know, we're getting some of the stuff back? I feel like it just brings more things to do in the game. It also brings back nostalgia. Like, there's been times where I'm like, man, I miss this area. Like, I haven't been here in a long time. I almost feel like Destiny 1, Destiny 2 are about to merge into like one big universe. And I'm in it for it. But a lot of people are like totally against that. Like, no, we don't want some of this stuff back. How do you feel about that?
You know, I can relate to both perspectives. I think some people might get the feeling that bringing back D1 stuff is a replacement for making new stuff. And if that ever is the case, then I would absolutely argue against bringing back D1 stuff. If the options are bring back D1 stuff or get new D2 stuff, I'm always going to be on the side of new stuff.
Yeah.
As long as they are able to bring stuff back from D1 and it doesn't have a dramatic impact on development time, like they're not replacing, like, don't get me wrong, I don't think that we got the Cosmodrome because Bungie didn't want to make another destination. Like I don't think that's how it works.
Yeah.
So as long as Bungie's able to like slowly reincorporate D1 into the game and they're not taking away massive development time to do it, then knock yourselves out, right? All I ever hear about is how D1's so much better, D1 this, D1 that. So now they're finally bringing it back and people are getting mad. I think it's just the feeling that people think that Bungie is replacing what could be potentially new content with older content. And even then, people are still very unresponsive to old content coming back into the game because of the whole recycled content situation where you know, it feels like Bungie often they do often reuse certain parts of the game in order to make new content, and people always want to feel like they're experiencing new stuff whenever possible. So I think some people think that, oh, we're just getting recycled D1 content as part of what I'm paying for, and I already paid for this and I already did all this kind of stuff. And I think that's where some of the disconnect comes in, is just not wanting to feel like, you know, half of the money that you paid for the season is going to Bungie bringing back the Cosmodrome and the Will of Crota Strike.
Yeah.
You know, that should be something that should just be implemented independently of a season.
But I think even like free-to-play players can go into these areas and play these things. But like I said, I'd rather them always put whatever they can into new stuff and like not old stuff. But as a D2 player, if you never play D1, I feel like this is a lot for you, right? This is a lot for someone who's, you know, just jumping into and here's the thing too, there's a lot of D2 players that are veterans and they tell their friends about, you know, some of these things from D1, like, hey man, I used to play here, I used to love this strike, I used to do this, and now that player gets to experience that. And VOG is going to be one of those things where everyone's like, man, I love VOG. And that's what a lot of people that have been playing Destiny 2 have heard. So they're like, man, I can't wait to tag on this raid and see what's going on. You know, people talk about this Fatebringer, like, oh, I can't wait to get my hands on it. So I don't know, it has like an up and down. No,
if you're a D2 only player, if you've never played D1, I don't see what like arguments you have for them to not bring back some of these parts of the game that everyone always raves about. Plus to you, it's new content. Like, it might be old to some people, but if you've never played it, it's new.
It's new.
But I also haven't really seen many D2 only players complain about getting D1 content back. It's mainly people who have already played D1 that do it. I mean, I occasionally, you know, I get questions every so often about bringing more stuff from D1 into D2 or any stuff like that, and I'm always, look, if they can do it without it interfering on the development of D2, they want to bring back some D1 stuff, great. But I'm so tired of, you know, what's the next thing they should bring back from D1? I don't care. Literally name anything. If it's not, as long as it's not Twilight Garrison, I don't care. Bring it all back. Whatever.
I don't think Twilight could be in a game right now with how Behemoth is. I would nah. I used the phrase recently, not to completely go on a PvP tangent. Oh no,
but I used the phrase unsalvageable recently. And I don't mean to sound doom and gloom, but man, PvP is literally a thing. Sorry, I don't want to derail unless you feel like we're done with that conversation.
Oh no, you're
D1.
good. Nah, you keep going, bro. Dude, like I play like almost 15 hours of trials yesterday trying to get a hand cannon. You know, like,
Ugh.
and trust me, been through the ringer. We faced guys who were like running around hip fire, freaking sniper rifles that weren't missing. There's a lot going on, you know. But
Yeah,
I don't know if that could be salvaged ever. And
it's yeah. So sorry, you keep going. Continue.
I keep telling people this: if you're gonna play Destiny Crucible, just like enjoy for what it is, and don't take it too seriously, because you are going to regret it. There's just every season, there's always gonna be a meta, and things are gonna change, and not in the way that you want it to be. And I know a lot of people ask about new maps and all this stuff all the time, and I say this, and I mean this in the kindest way: everything about Destiny's Crucible is free. They are not charging you for it. Yeah, you might die to stasis, so you buy that DLC so you can have the super. But there's nothing that requires you to give Bungie any dime to play it. So when the house is burning for Crucible, I don't think they care that much. Do you think they're gonna nerf stasis that works well in PvE, so that sells DLCs, just because you're getting, you know, like mad at it in PvP? I don't think that's ever gonna happen.
I see. I do think they want to have stasis be somewhat balanced in PvP. Like, I totally get that mindset of just like, you know, like they don't care this and that. I do ultimately think that they care. I just don't know how much they're able to do about it at the moment.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think there's very few. I think there's very few devs that go into their own game and they're like, yeah, this part I don't really care about it at all. I think they absolutely do care about all aspects of the game. It's just kind of like it's just like a management issue. Like, what do we manage first? What do we prioritize first? With me, like, I know that, you know, trials cheating and comp cheating is a problem.
Oh, dude, it happens
for me.
in quick play.
It's not even the problem. I just like I remember what felt like less than a year ago. I was actually like I actually didn't mind PvP. Like, I thought things were in a pretty decent spot,
place,
all things considered. And I'm just like, nowadays, I think the main problems I have, obviously, stasis number one. Number two is just the insane movement capabilities of everyone. And three is probably special grenade launchers.
Oh my God.
All of these things combined just make for me anyway, an incredibly unfun experience unless I'm using all of those things. I think weapon balance wise, like, sure, there's definitely some outliers. But I think, for example, shotguns are an outlier because there are so many tools that allow you to use shotguns to a much higher capacity than other weapons. Obviously, hand cannons are still hot, but hand cannons have basically always been hot.
Yeah, hand cannons and shotguns have always been a thing.
Yeah, like weapon-wise, with regards to that, I think things are actually pretty good. It's just that, like, it's just stasis, everyone just throwing up walls, getting frozen, getting slowed, feeling like you're losing because of those things. I mean, when you're frozen, you're definitely losing because you're frozen. But even just like being slowed, like, it's a very new thing to the game. And I don't want to say like, it's like, oh, people don't know how to play against it just yet. I'm sure people do. It's just still the fact that it's incredibly frustrating to be slowed or
be
frozen in a match. High movement as well. I feel like this is blasphemous to say. I've never been a fan of just the high flying, super fast movement options.
You mean Top Tree, Dawnblade? Yeah, that thing is
even going back to Destiny 1 with Twilight Garrison. Everyone always asks me like, oh, why do you never use Twilight Garrison? Why do you never use that stuff? I'm just like, that's not what I find enjoyable about Destiny PvP or gunplay.
Yeah,
is like, sure, it's fun to move around super fast sometimes, but when it comes to like the history of PvP and like what it's been like since the beginning, it's like I've never really pictured Destiny PvP as being about that. Like it's been occasional ability usage, really solid gunplay,
and just having fun.
And shooting guns. And lately, I feel like it's less about shooting guns. I feel like it's more about
it turned into a chess match.
Yeah, it's more about just like spamming whatever stuff you can and hoping it hits. Like special grenade launchers, I hate them. I hate special grenade launchers. They're so obnoxious. It's just firing crap around a corner.
It blows my mind. It does blow my mind with a lot of these like one-shot things, and people wanted one-shot things to be in the game. But like everything you just said I'm like on that money. And then the chess match thing, where like every player you see in every competitive lobby now have a sword on, and they're always saying this because they're playing against cheaters. There's times when you're playing against people, you're not cheating, and they're 3-peeking, right? They're using the sword. And it slows down the game. And I'm like, why has Destiny, the game that used to be a fast pace, you just get in, you shoot, you go at your own pace, whatever it is, turned into like one of the slowest things ever. When you get to like the higher ceiling, you would think great players wouldn't do that, but it happens. Like how the hell did it go from checkers to chess? I just don't know.
Well, it's just people want every single advantage that they can possibly get, and in that high of a high level environment, they're going to do everything that it takes to make sure they get the W. And if they can take advantage of that loophole in the system, then they're definitely going to do that. There's no honor here. There's no like unofficial code. It's just do whatever you can to win. And in that regard, I totally get it. I'm not mad that people are flying around with Stasis, Top Tree, Dawnblade, Stompies, Behemoth dashing all over the place with special ammo grenade launchers, and all that kind of stuff, because that's what wins. That's what is good. That's what will get you kills. I'm just more sad at the fact that is what wins and and is what gets you kills. If I could go back to a Destiny PvP arena without stasis, I would probably do that.
If they gave us the option, you're matchmaking, but no stasis here.
It'll never happen.
It would never happen, yeah.
But if you ask me right now if I prefer Destiny PvP with or without stasis, I would say without. I don't know what they plan on doing to get it to a point where it's not as maybe prohibitive on other players when it comes to fighting against it. A lot of it can just be boiled down to get good lol, which I totally get. I love using that excuse sometimes, at least in PvE, is just get good. But it still creates an environment that is not necessarily the most fun to play in, at least for me. I feel like I offer a slightly unique perspective as a YouTuber streamer that mainly prioritizes PvE and is way better at PvE than they ever will be at PvP. I'm much more of a casual PvP player. I used to be able to go flawless trials. Now I need Sith and Mork and Toes to come help me to the lighthouse, and I have no shame in saying that because I'm not good enough.
Dude, I had to sit in Crucible for hours just to rebalance my shot, no maps and everything, just to go flawless yesterday. It was like, normally I go in Crucible, I don't give a damn. I'm just like, blah blah blah. I'm running at someone. Now I have to sit here and use my brain and be like, okay, what is he gonna do? Is he gonna go here? Should I go here? And it's so weird because in Destiny 1, I don't think any of us really felt that, right? We just, you play the game, you enjoyed it for what it is, and that was it. That was flat out Destiny. Anyone can kind of almost do anything. Do you feel like the game has evolved too? Just a lot more players are just have adapted to the game and have become better? Because I feel like a lot of players have.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think back to the VOG days, the D1 launch days, and just knowing how the game has evolved and how players' skill levels have evolved. There are probably way more good players playing the game right now than there ever have been.
Yeah.
But as a result, that creates an environment where it's much tougher to win games or get to the lighthouse or anything like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, like, Trials isn't even the main factor into why I'm not really enjoying PvP. It's just all of those other things with the sandbox, you know. It's the flying around at a zillion miles an hour, shotgunning everything, you know, just like tight, like everyone has some sort of crazy movement, and while some people might say like, oh well, everyone has it, therefore it's fine, right? And it's like, well, if you have a problem and then you make that problem worse by giving everyone access to that problem,
Prometheus
have you
lens,
solved
looking
the
at
problem? Or have you just given everyone the ability to access that problem?
Oh man,
Right?
Prometheus lens, dude. Oh my god, I think fried everyone. Oh, it's doing too much damage. All right, sir, give it to everyone else.
Yeah, It's like you haven't solved the problem. You've just made the problem a lot worse, but now everyone gets to be a part of it. And that's not really the solution I'm looking for. Excuse me, when it's coming to PvP, you know, just because now everyone can fly around the map and everyone has stasis, that doesn't make it not a situation. It just makes it a very dire situation. And one that I've been actively avoiding, because I do really actually enjoy the gunplay elements when the game can actually provide those moments. But otherwise it feels like the other majority of the time it's Warlock Omega dashing at you to shotgun you, it's Titans slide behemothing to shotgun you, it's Hunters Stompies jumping because they think they're really good because they can jump really high, shotgun you. Or it's special ammo grenade launchers being flung around a corner and you just walk into a nade that someone's just shooting out of an empowering rift because they got nothing else to do.
Or like a Luminard quick draw glitch, hit you once, you can't heal, and a hand cannon is hitting you, you're dead. It's just like there's so many like things that happen in the world of Crucible, you know, like it's weird that on top of that, you know, there's also just the crazy cheating, right? Mm-hmm. But it's still one of like the funnest games that you can experience, and that's another reason why we play it. Because if honestly, a lot of people would have left a long time ago, you know, if they didn't enjoy the game for what it is. It has a lot of good, some bad, but there's an ingredient that keeps us coming back. I don't know what it is. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you're like, man, I don't want to play this game anymore, and then you jump back and like, wait a minute, like, what the hell's going on? I had a friend not play this game for maybe 6 seasons. He came back in. He's like sending me screenshots of like all the guns he's getting, all these perks. He's like, has this been in the game? I was like, no, it just came this season. I was like, yo, this is crazy. So there's definitely like something to Destiny that makes it to where you're like, man, I want to play Destiny too for this reason. And there's days where like, you know,
I mean, it's just healthy to take a break. You know, I've been taking more breaks than I ever have from this game.
Yeah.
Partly because my entire life has revolved around it for the past 8 years, or coming up on 8 years. But it's just also healthier to take a break, and you get to appreciate the game more when you spend some time away from it every once in a while, as opposed to just making it your entire life. You know, I wish I was still as passionate as I was, you know, back in the early D1 days, but it's just being familiar with the game. It's having it be such a big part of my life for so many years. But even just as like a normal player, I imagine people kind of feel that way, where if you don't spend any time away, you can't really develop an appreciation for it because you're just always around it all the time.
That's like being in the house and being around your parents or your siblings. You get tired of them, and then all of a sudden you go to college. Like, man, I can't wait to go back home for Thanksgiving to see my family. You know, like, but when you're around them, you're like, you take it for granted, and that's a perfect example, like you just said, man. A lot of people take this like take for granted always. So
yeah, and so time away is healthy, and that is something I have been teaching myself over the past couple of years. Is it's healthy to take breaks. It's healthy to step away. You know, I'm definitely not creating nearly as much content as I used to, both in terms of streams and YouTube videos, but I personally am a lot happier. I have a lot better balance in my life, and as a result, like, I can kind of not stress myself out nearly as much compared to when my life was just 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, Destiny.
I don't know. When I tell everyone this all the time. I was like, I was an idiot. You know, when I started out streaming, I just stream and get off, get on, stream, get off. Never made content, like never actually like put things out. Never made clips, never tweeted, never got on Instagram, never, you know, made a portfolio. And then over the years, I'm now learning that there's so much more to it than just getting up and getting on and playing the video game and trying to get something done. You know, like, I had people tell me like, man, how the hell is this guy growing and you're not growing? And I was like, that guy did this and this and this. He did the right paths. You know, like, it's not just how many people come and watch you, how many people like see you every day. There's more to it. You have to build yourself as a brand too. Because a lot of people always ask, hey man, I just want to stream, and how do you do it? There's not like one way to do it. There's a bunch of ways to do it. And YouTube was one that I should have done a long time ago. But then I was like, you know what? Let me like pick people's brain. I was like, Datto, I need your help. I need to figure this out. You know, like, I want to be able to do this because people ask me questions. I'm like, man, if I just put this in the video and someone asks about it, hey man, just go check out this video. We'll give you all the answers. Because people ask a lot of questions all the time. It could be the same question. And that answer, I felt like now I can see that like YouTube has helped it out to where like I don't have to keep answering this over and over and over. Because then you get annoyed. It's more like a mental health thing too, right? You just had to do like
75% of my videos are the result of people asking me the same question over and over again in my chat.
Yep.
I've zero shame in saying that, because clearly if that many people are asking, then a lot of people really want to know, maybe more than you think, and you just make a video on it, you know?
Yep. And it's
one thing. Sorry, you go.
No, I was gonna say that's what I thought about too, right? Normally I'll make a video and be like, man, people should know about this video, like warn myself, it came out, like this thing is awesome, like you should know about it. But then I go back and I look at the ones that actually like, you know, popped off. They were the ones where someone was like, why are you doing this? Like, why are you doing this? And I'm like, all right, fine, let me make a video. And then all of a sudden, like, it blows up. I'm like, what? How the hell does this like do it? But yeah, so I see exactly what you mean.
It's something I've struggled with a lot, is content that I think is dumb, or like people should know this already, or like is not that complicated. Yeah, it's always something that is still appreciated among the wider audience that only has that 30 minutes a day to play, that they don't know these things, or they haven't been paying attention, or you know, they just don't understand how it works, or even that it's in the game. You know, content that I think might be dumb, like how many effing times am I going to talk about weapon rolls? How many times do I need to say Outlaw Rampage is the best thing to go get? How many? Turns out it's a lot, because every single time I make a video talking about weapon rolls, it pops off. Right, except for my most recent one. But it's like stuff that you think is obvious to you because you've been doing it for so long. And it's not obvious to some other people who, you know, are not as in tune with the game. Like go figure that someone who only gets to play 30 minutes a day doesn't know all the super intense intricacies of, you know, how certain mods work on your armor. Yeah. Even just something like a basic build, like how to make a basic charge with light build or a basic Warmind cell build. you see all these mods, and it can be incredibly overwhelming to go in and analyze all of them and like really pick apart what they do, and then how do they all work together. And then a lot of people just end up ignoring it completely because they're just so overwhelmed with what it all does, and so they'd rather just not engage because it takes that much effort to kind of figure out what it all does in the first place. But it's still something I struggle with, just like, you know, content that I think is just so basic or so easy. And I was just like, why do you know, like, granted, there's some things like, you know, if a TWAB comes out and the only thing that it has is like Iron Banner's coming back and like we launched a new mission, like that is something like you don't need to know about that. There's no need for a video on that. But other things that might seem a little more basic, I think there's always going to be an audience, just because not everyone is as smart as you think they are. And I don't mean that in a negative way.
A lot of people take it like that too.
Yeah.
A lot of people take it like that. And I notice there's times where
I won't say smart. I will say as knowledgeable.
There's been times where, like, you know, I get frustrated. I'm like, dude, wait, I just answered this question. Or like something that's like seemed that it should be really simple, that someone should know, they don't know. And then I just end up like looking like the bad guy because I'm like, man, how the hell don't you know that? Right? Mm-hmm. And then over time I was like, you know what, just make that a video. That's it. Like, you know, like it just makes it easier because then you're like, wait, I'm not frustrated. Here goes a breakdown, and now you know, and now I know that you know.
Yeah, they're giving when people ask you that question, like, don't get me wrong, I'm the king of questions. That people all the time question, and I do appreciate deep down that like people come to me as a resource because they, you know, they trust my opinion, they trust my expertise. But when people are asking you those kinds of things so many times, it's a gift. Because it's something that you can turn into a video, and now you can educate a much wider audience on compared to just telling that one guy, you know, the answer, which is why I turn a lot of questions into videos. It's people want to know. And, but it's still something I struggle with. And a lot of it is like, you don't know that person. Like, what if that person just started playing?
Yeah.
Right. That's why I try to not always be a massive dick to people whenever they ask what feels like a basic question or repeat questions. It's because sometimes they just be completely new to the game. They have no idea what's going on. They've never heard of this thing, or maybe they're coming back after a super long break and they're super overwhelmed. So that's why I try to not always be a dick or be super sarcastic when people ask those questions. Is just like, I don't know where they're coming from ultimately. And I know that a lot of people come from a place of just wanting to know more because they appreciate my insight and you know, but it gets exhausting. The example I give sometimes is, you know, when someone sees me in the tower, odds are for them, it's probably the first time they've ever seen me in game or in the tower or something like that. And they're super stoked. For me, it's probably the 10th time that day that I've gone into the tower and someone's asked to emote with me or chat in chat. And it's like, you can't do it every single time. You know, I try to.
It is weird. Like when you're at the tower.
I try to give people some time, and I try to say hello to everyone every single time. Or if someone wants to emote with me, you know, I try to do that. But it's just like, I can't every single time. But yeah, it's like kind of along those lines. Not exactly, but within a similar vein.
I don't know. It is always weird. Like I'm at the towers and someone's like, yo, this person's like trying to get your attention. Like, wait, what? Like, it's weird. All right. I'm like, why are you bothering? I don't know. Like,
because they're a fan. That's why they're a fan of you. They want to interact in some way. And, you know, I respect it. And if I was in a position where, you know, I was fucking walking down the street and I passed by Allison Brie, I'll be like, damn, it would be cool if I could get a picture, you know?
Yeah.
And just like being able to give people that experience of just like, oh man, Dow's in the tower, it'd be cool to say hello. If I can provide that for people, then damn it, I'm going to try. You know, I might not be able to get to everybody, but I'm certainly going to try, because I know that if I was in their position, I would appreciate it very, very much. You know, even if they've done it for the 100th time that day.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna get used to that, but it is always weird. But I do stay out of local chat because, you know, as much as there's a lot of good people out there, there's also some crappy people, you know, like.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So one time we got into the tower, and one of my fire team members, Beta, was like, yeah, don't go in fire team, don't go in local chat. This guy's typing some crazy stuff. I was like, well, thank you, good thing you told me, but I have that turned off for that specific reason, because you just never know, you know. Like, I'd rather be like stressless than be like, oh man, God, here we go, an idiot is trying to be an idiot.
Yeah, I unfortunately am gonna have to shut down my PlayStation messages. It is in such a contrast compared to my, you know, like 99% of the time, I'm not even exaggerating, 99% of the time my local tower chat situation is completely fine.
Yeah.
Every once in a while I get someone spamming some reportable, bannable stuff.
Yeah.
But 99% of the time it's totally fine. My PlayStation messages, let me tell you how terrible they are in comparison to local chat. I get some nice PlayStation messages every once in a while. Some nice ones. Hey, really enjoy your videos. Thanks very much. Most of the other times it is
just terrible.
Someone inviting me into a group with a shitload of other people who I do not know, or lately, or like a long time ago, back when it was first rolling out, people would invite like 50 verified people into a chat, and they would just invite them to a chat, and that would be it. And they might say like one message like, hey, can you help me on Destiny 1 for something? God. First of all, no.
Hey, what's up,
Second
Boney?
of all,
I'm sorry, I'm
stop
recording.
that. But lately it's just been people inviting me to group chats, inviting me to voice chats constantly. And that's all it's been. So I'm going to have to shut it down. And I hate shutting down ways to contact me, but it's just to the point where it's just so much garbage and so little good that I just have to shut it down.
That's the same thing for me for Discord. I literally have to turn Discord off, because there's times where people ended up, you know, they'll join the Discord so now they can message me, and it's like some dumb thing. Hey, can you join this group chat? Like you just said. I'm like, what? Why? Yeah. What? No.
I don't get that experience too often where people like message me to be like, hey, can you join our Discord? Like if they do, people are kind of nice about it, but I always decline, because I'm just like, dude, I'm already in a whole bunch of Discord servers that I already don't want to be in. But I never want to leave, because I never want to have people feel like, you know, like, oh, I made Datto mad, why do you leave the Discord, blah blah blah. This reality is like, I don't engage with this Discord. I joined it once just a long time ago for a thing, and then I just never left. But yeah, every once in a while I'll get random pings from random servers and stuff like that, and it's like, dude, like what do you think's gonna happen? What's your plan here? What's your goal, my guy? Twitter DMs are also something I've turned off, but I feel like Twitter is also considerably more toxic of an environment than Destiny local chat. At least for me, anyway.
Nah, Twitter is definitely a place where if I don't follow you, you don't follow me, you can't message me. It's just no.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I do not allow open DMs. I'm sure while I would get a lot of nice messages, you don't need to DM me to say, you know, like, hey, really appreciate your content, because most of the time I'll like hit it with a favorite, or I'll respond to it directly, just say like, hey, thanks. Most of the time people using DMs are trying to say something shitty to you.
Yeah. Even like Twitch, people try to like add you so they can whisper, and I'm like, why?
Oh, I got whispers turned off.
Yeah, no.
I can whisper you cannot whisper me.
Yep. F that, man. F that.
Yeah.
And it's weird too that I noticed the more a channel grows or anything like about you grows, the more secretive you guys start getting with stuff. You know, you can't be that open as much as you want to.
Oh yeah, I've always been pretty private.
Yeah.
Just because there's weirdos out there, man. There's real weirdos. Some of them don't always mean
they don't mean harm, but yeah,
mean harm or be a weirdo, but it's just they just are, and they just don't know it. I just would rather not chance it. I actually kind of look forward to the day where I can just kind of be a normal person again,
and
just kind of fade
yeah.
into the background and just be a normal dude. I don't have to worry about Twitter messages or, you know, emails or any. Well, I mean, I'm always gonna have to worry about emails, but you know, just going back to living a somewhat normal experience, somewhat normal life. I don't have 1,000 eyes on me anytime I want to play a video game, or, you know, everyone's scrutinizing every single thing that I say or whatever. It's gonna be,
or just rephrasing your words. I mean, one thing for sure, I've been like just saving a little money here and there. As soon as like a lot of places are maybe travel safe, I'm just gonna go on like a nice little vacation where like
nice.
I'll have my phone, but you know, like I won't be doing anything, you know, socially. Like I won't be streaming. I won't be like on Twitter. I might put pictures up in Discord like, hey, this is, you know, where I've been, but it's not going to be like, oh, I'm here right now, because then somebody's like, oh, yo, he's right here. All right, let's go over here. No, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to have to like post all that stuff later, but it would be nice to just be like, all right, I get some time to myself.
The first thing I plan on doing whenever I'm done with this saga of my life is just probably about a month or two, either traveling, or I'm doing all hobbies, or I'm just not working. I'm fortunate enough that I can be in that position where, you know, I've saved money and I can afford to take off. I can afford to take off like a year or two from working. Not that I'd really want to.
Yeah.
Because I took a break in September for like 2.5, maybe 3 weeks. And I'd say about a week and a half in, I was like, I'm so bored. I am so incredibly bored.
It's not even that. It's
I need
COVID,
something to do.
Everything has been slowed down. Like I've been trying to, I was looking for like recreational leagues. I played like college basketball, whatever. And I was like, man, it'd be nice to just like go and play ball in some kind of league. Cause normally when I go back home to New York, all my high school friends, we have like the high schools that we went to, there's always open gym. Just got to like scrim and it was fun. It was like enjoyable. Now it's just like, well, there's nothing I could do. There's no parks open, nothing. You're just, and I don't know. I don't even know if this is going to change in maybe 2023. Who knows? But it's just,
I think we'll be good by 2023. I think we'll be good by then. I even have some hopes for this year, kind of opening up. Yeah. But it's probably going to be in the second half of the year. But yeah, I can relate. It's getting a little, I'm still trying to do my part, but it's getting exhausting.
Yeah.
All right. I think I'm going to head out on that one.
Yep.
And we hit a little bit of everything on this one.
Yeah, we did. Life. Destiny.
Yeah, dude.
Cheaters, good. Everything, yeah.
Got a couple of decent palindromes as well. Keep them.
Nice. You said they weren't dropping for you, man? Ugh.
I got like 3 in a row and then just like it stopped.
But yeah, chat, I'm going to drop his links in chat again. Please make sure you hit the follow button and you subscribe to the YouTube. All right. Make sure to show him some love. I will have this up on YouTube at some point tomorrow. Thank you guys for being around. And thank you, Datto, for giving me 2 hours of your weekend, man.
Of course, man. No problem, dude.